Biology, Review of Photosynthesis and Cell Respiration by Ryan Maxwell and Nick Strobin. Introduction to photosynthesis. Photosynthesis is performed by autotrophs. These organisms are also known as producers in the ecological pyramid. Producers are the foundation of all food chains and nourish almost all the living world, either directly or indirectly. Here's the chemical equation for photosynthesis. During photosynthesis, sunlight is converted into chemical energy, which is stored in sugars. Fun fact, photosynthesis evolved around 3.4 billion years ago. Site of photosynthesis. Photosynthesis occurs in the chloroplasts of plant cells. The chloroplasts are found mostly in the mesophyll tissue in the interior of the plant leaves. Light from the sun is absorbed by the chlorophyll, which are located in the thylakoids. Photosynthesis, the process. Photosynthesis occurs in two parts, light-dependent reactions and the Calvin cycle, which is also known as light-independent. Light-dependent reactions occur in the granum and the inner membrane of the chloroplast. The reaction begins when photons, or sunlight, are absorbed by the chlorophyll, and electrons and positive hydrogen ions from the water in the plant are split. Next, the oxygen is released through the stomata, and the positive hydrogen ions become NADPH, and NADPH is produced in the second photosystem, and ATP is formed through photophosphorylation. In this process, the molecule ADP has a phosphate group added to it to make ATP. This occurs in the first photosystem through an electron transport chain. The second stage of photosynthesis is the Calvin cycle. This process occurs in the stroma of the chloroplast. In order for the process to start, ADP and NADPH from the light reaction must be present, as well as carbon dioxide. First, the carbon dioxide reacts with the enzyme Rubisco and becomes a 6-carbon sugar. This sugar then divides into two molecules of 3-PGA. Then, the NADPH loses its phosphate group to the 3-PGA phosphorylation, and the 3-PGA becomes G3P molecules, which is a type of sugar. One of the G3P molecules is then released from the cycle and is used to synthesize glucose.
Cell respiration. Introduction. Cell respiration is the means by which cells extract energy stored in food and transfer that energy to molecules of ATP. Cell respiration is an exergonic process. It releases energy. This formula, which is the reverse of photosynthesis, is the formula for cell respiration. There are two types of cell respiration: anaerobic, which does not use air, and aerobic, which does. Anaerobic respiration consists of glycolysis and alcohol or lactic acid fermentation. Aerobic fermentation is much more efficient. Aerobic respiration. Glycolysis. Glycolysis is the first phase and occurs in the cytoplasm. Glycolysis is an anaerobic reaction. In this process, ATP is used to break down one molecule of glucose into two 3-carbon molecules of pyruvate. Pyruvate serves as the now raw material for the second phase, the Krebs cycle. 2 ATP plus 1 glucose is formed into 2 pyruvate and 4 ATP. This is a net gain of 2 ATP molecules. Cell respiration, the Krebs cycle. The Krebs cycle is the second step, and it occurs in the matrix of the mitochondria. After glycolysis, the pyruvate are transported to the mitochondria, and on the way, the pyruvate becomes acetate, which then becomes acetyl CoA. The acetyl CoA interacts with the oxytyl to make citric acid, which is broken down in the Krebs cycle. The energy created from this is stored in ATP, NADH, and FADH2. This is the formula. Cell respiration, the ETC. The electron transport chain is the last stage of cellular respiration. This stage occurs in the cystic membrane of the mitochondria. The electron transport chain is a proton pump in the mitochondria. The pumps are powered by NADH and FADH2. The pumps create a proton gradient between the matrix and the outer compartment. This gradient allows for oxidative phosphorylation to occur. Oxidative phosphorylation occurs during chemolysis. This is the way that 90% of all the ATP is produced from cellular respiration. During oxidative phosphorylation, NAD and FAD lose protons, they become oxidized, to the electron transport chain, which pumps them to the outer compartment of the mitochondria, creating a steep proton gradient. This electrochemical or proton gradient powers the phosphorylation of ADP into ATP. Again, this accounts for almost 90% of all ATP formed in cellular respiration.
We hope this paper slide helped you learn more about photosynthesis and cell respiration, and hopefully it remind you about what you forgot. Make sure you study for the EOCs. Use resources like the animations on biological functions from the McGraw-Hill website. Thank you for listening.